In this episode of October Showdown, we are finishing our updates to the bathhouse facade. We're also doing some new updates to the blacksmith facade. I've got a final look at the pumpkin mounts for you, and we're setting up the town. So let's get to it.
Let's mount up.
Alright guys, so we've made a lot of progress here on our bathhouse. You can see, got this top flat on, and we added trim up there. We added trim on the side here, and these two pieces of trim on the side here were kind of more of just like a weathered gray, just like a natural, look. And to kind of make it match better, we added some stain on that. So let me show you what we got going on the inside. Here's a view of that top flat from the back. I just went ahead and secured it with bolts all the way across, and it's nice and sturdy up there. This is the completed frame, painted frame. We actually did try the clear window film plastic, and it worked really well, but the only problem was the tape. It basically uses tape that you stick on the wood, and then you put the plastic on, and then you shrink it down with a hairdryer. The tape did not stick to the wood, and we kind of figured it wasn't going to work so well because it was coming off a little bit last night. Yeah, we came out this morning and the plastic was on the ground. But we were able to put it on and kind of test out and start playing with lights and stuff, and it's going to work really well. And then in the background here, it's kind of hard to see, but we faced those two flats with plywood, and then I built this wall flat here, and then we've painted it, and then we're going to weather that and add some chair rail along here, and I think that will be cool, and we'll add some other stuff into the scene once we get to that point. And then over on this side, we're just going to go ahead and leave this open this year and put a black curtain there. In the future we might add another flat with a door, or add a door over here to be able to get access in, but for now we're just going to go with this for this year. Kids sure have been having fun out here while we were working. They got what they call the skeleton hotel going on over here. It's pretty fancy, I gotta say. Hey Benny, how are you, buddy? Okay, see you later. I've been working on getting these pumpkin mounts printed out. You can see I've basically been trying some different filaments, which is basically the plastic type. These ones are made with ABS, which works pretty well. It's good for outdoors. It smells pretty strong when you're printing with it, so that's kind of a drawback. And there are some warping issues with it. Like these ones, you can see it's a little bit, not bad, but a little bit of warping. And this plastic is called PETG, and it is nice because it doesn't get the smell, and again it works well outside. It's trickier to print with. You can see the print isn't quite as clean as with ABS, but I've been printing away on these guys. I still need to print some, more of the little lens caps that I'm going to put on, but those guys should be pretty quick to print. So another thing we have on the agenda for this year is to update our blacksmith facade. This is the facade for our shooting gallery, and this is all built out of old fence wood, which is nicely aged, and it looks great, but the problem is it's really heavy. So this is like a 3 foot by 7 foot flat, and it would need to be, it gets attached at the very top, so that's like 12 feet up or something like that. So it's not exactly the easiest task to get this thing up. So what we started doing in the past is basically attaching the whole thing on the ground and then standing it up, which is okay, but it took quite a few people last time we set it up to get it up in the air, and then it's kind of hard to finagle around. So I've decided to update this and make life a little easier on us. So what we're going to do is, we like the sign part there, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and cut that part out and then make a separate sign with that. And then what I'm going to do is just make a new flat. I'm probably going to do 2 pieces to basically squares, and we're just going to kind of finish it off like we have this thing that we did, the addition we did for the bathhouse here. So it'll just be a couple flats with some basic thing, put some new trim on top, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and attach the existing sign on the front, and I think that'll look cool, and it will make it a lot easier to handle each year. We have everything stacked and ready to go out here. It's Tuesday today, and we are going to start setting up on Friday. So I took Friday off, so hopefully between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm hoping that we can get all the buildings up and get a lot of our lighting done, and just get everything going. Here's where I'm at so far on this facade redo. I went ahead and set it up. I had to do some repair on the bottom there because some of the pickets were popping out. So I got those fixed up, and I got it set up, and then I made these two panels here. Just real basic, two separate squares. I want to make it easy enough to get up to put up there once this bottom piece is all set up. So the smaller the better is what I've learned over the years. So especially since this one's a bit taller, it's a little bit easier when you're going up on the ladder just to take a small flat. So I got those two flats, and then we put some of this stain on here just as a background. And then now I'm working on the trim. So I've got some of this board here, this nice like 12-inch wide board or whatever. So I'm gonna put that on the top and add some simple trim on that. And then on this guy, what I'm gonna do is replace these top boards too, because these are kind of just made with like random pieces of fence board, and every year when you're trying to carry it, they're pulling off. So I've got one more of these big boards over here, and it's just enough to replace the two side pieces and make a piece over here. And then on the old flat here, what we'll do is just cut out the letters and then add a frame like this, something like that, frame it out with some fence boards, and then we'll go ahead and that will go right up there. And then I'm going to try to just go ahead and get it set up so that the center of that sign is over this seam between these two flats. That way I can just permanently attach the sign on this, and it'll just be in two pieces. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I got all the trim added on and replaced. Replaced out the side trim and the top, and I used a bunch of the old fence boards that we took off the previous one. Got this all in here, put a little bit of trim on the front. The lights we're gonna add some lights in here, and then down there is the sign that I cut out of the old flat, and then put some trim on it here, and then these will attach up on the flat like that. So I think it should work pretty well, and it's gonna be a lot easier to manage when we're putting it up. I'm working on getting these lights installed on these new top flats here. I'm just using these RGB LED sign modules. They work really well. And what I'm doing is I have the drilled through there coming out the back, and then I'm using these waterproof wire connectors here. These guys are great. They're 4-wire connectors. I just solder them on there, and then that way this end will connect to the other set of lights that's going to go on the other top flat. Alright, so these top new panels here are done and ready to go. I got the sign mounted on each half here, and then what I did is I just took the wires on these lights and just painted them black just to kind of hide them a little bit. You can actually get black modules. I haven't seen them in the 4 LED configuration. I have seen them in like the longer ones with 3, but I just had white, which is fine. At night you don't see them anyway, but just for the daytime I like to kind of hide it a little bit. But just the wires were kind of distracting to me just because they were multicolor. So I think that looks pretty good, and I'm not going to bother with putting that back up there yet because we're going to start setting up tomorrow, so that's exciting. Good morning, guys. It's Friday, October 2nd, and we're setting up today. I took the day off of work so we can have a long weekend and hopefully get most of this town set up. So we're going to get to it. we are about halfway through day 2 now, and we have most of the town set up. We got the sheriff there, blacksmith. It's all set up with that new top flat, or 2 flats up there. That definitely made it a little bit easier to get up there. And we got the undertaker over here, and there's our photo building, and then we've got the new bathhouse, or updated bathhouse, I guess I should say, right over here. So we like to kind of switch things up each year and move around some of the buildings, give the town a little bit of a different feel. Right now that's kind of limited to, we keep the blacksmith there because the shooting gallery is basically goes between the gate for our fence. In the future we might, move things out even more. The only other building that we need to add is the witch shack is going to go right over there. Right, it's all piled up right there for now. What we're going to do is we're switching that. Usually it's on the other side of the town. We're going to put the witch shack kind of over here so we can maybe extend it a little bit out and get it a little closer to the street over here. And we're going to do the witch shack and the cemetery over here. And we're going to build some fences and add a projection over here. We're going to do some singing pumpkins, which we've always wanted to do. I know it's kind of a little bit overdone sometimes, but I love jack-o'-lanterns, and that's something we've always wanted to add, and I think people will get a kick out of that. So we bought the new Atmos effects, updated whatever it's called, their pumpkin animation this year. So we're going to set that up in there, and probably what we'll do is build, we're talking about building a little railing on the witch shack on her porch and have the pumpkin guys up there talking, and then that way we can put the projector maybe in a column for the fence, or maybe we'll build a tombstone to house her projector. So yeah, that's what we're working on now. So now we gotta get in there and get some signs up. Got to get the sign up there and over there, and then we do need to finish putting up the rest of the photography building. Right now it's basically the front and the sides. I'll show you here. Actually, I can show you the back too. So we got these sides up because that's part of the bathhouse building, and we got the back of the bathhouse here. We still need to build the roof flats for this bathhouse. We're going to build 2 flats just to make a roof in here, and then we got to put up the rest of the flats for the photo building. And then back over here's the back side of the back side of the undertaker. And what we did this year is something different too, is last year we had everything butting up against the fence here, and it ended up being a pain because trying to screw things together down at the bottom, and then when I needed to run wires and all that, I was on the other side of the fence, and it was just kind of a pain in the butt. So this year we bumped it out 2 feet to give it a little bit more room. That way we can add the flats here for the shooting gallery. The nice thing is we can walk back here, and I will probably use this area here for our lighting controllers and speakers. What I've done in the past when we had things back here is I added a tarp up at the top and kind of tarped it over here, and then that way it gave me a nice dry spot in here. And then what I can do is mount all of our power controls and all that good stuff back here. So yeah, we're gonna keep working, and I'm glad I took the day off on Friday because it's Saturday and we've got most of the town up already, so that gives us a whole nother day to keep working on it. So we're excited about that. Well, it's now Sunday. Day's about over. Got a lot done this weekend. Yesterday we got the rest of the buildings up. Got the bathhouse moved out here and set up. Photography building is set up. Got all the facade, or the tops on, and the sign, and then on the inside we've got all the interior wall panels up, and then we've got the windows up in here and the curtains, so that's good. And then over here, let's see, we got the undertaker tops on and the sign on and all that, and we've been starting to put out some of our skeletons and our skeleton horses. What else? Let's see. I've got some pumpkins up there on the sheriff's office using those new mounts, and so far they worked really well. They went up really easy, a lot easier than trying to get the glue gun up there and get everything to stick. And then over here we have the witch shack all set up, and we've started decorating that. So I still need to make another blank wall flat for here, either one or two. We're not totally sure what we're going to do with this corner, but we kind of want to tie these two together because we're going to have the graveyard over here, so we want to do something with this corner because right now it just looks kind of weird just having that end like that. So if we add a couple flats and wrap it around or something, I think that'll tie it together. So next I'm going to be working on getting the lighting up. Yeah, probably running wiring, getting lighting. I need to continue on with the pumpkins. But like I said, it's late afternoon now, starting to get pretty tired, so probably going to be calling it a day soon. But we're really happy with our progress that we made this weekend. So here's what I usually do for the power. If you haven't seen our haunt before, I like to use these weatherproof boxes. And then I'll have, like, here's LED controller for the sign modules, RGB LED, and then they usually come with a remote, so I stick that in there with that. This is the wire, this is the sheriff's office. And then I'll usually run, I have to run a power line that comes over from the power box, so let me show you that real quick. Okay, so I got the power box mounted on the fence here. I thought about mounting it behind the flats on the other side of the fence, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to get in there once we have the gallery in and all the other wall panels up. So I think to make it easier, I'm going to try to make like this little control area where I have the power and the amplifiers and all that good stuff. And so probably what I'll do is just have a tarp that comes out, and maybe I can build a little frame or something to help protect this area. But what I do for this power here is just, this box is a, CCTV power supply. We use one of these for the shooting gallery, and it works awesome. It's great because you've got all your outputs here, and then what I do is I just run the speaker wire. This is just speaker wire that I run into there, and then I run them out to each facade and wherever else I need power. So I believe this one is an 18 output unit, and if you need to, you can branch off it. I'm not sure what the amps. Oh yeah, here. So it's 12 volt, 30 amp out. So it's got lots and lots of power, and I've used this for several years now. It works out really well. So that's the wires that I run into each power box, or each weatherproof box at each flat too. Here's a look at the completed pumpkin mounts here. I got the little lens cap printed out. Each one of these gets 2 flicker LEDs inside. I'm using the yellow gold color and then one that they call orange, but it looks more red to me. But mixing those two together gives it a nice effect, and then adding 2 of the LEDs in there gives it a little bit more. I mean, you know, you can only do so much with these little flickering LEDs, but for the pumpkins I think that they work pretty well. And this lens helps to kind of diffuse it a lot and spread it out in the pumpkin. And then on the bottom of the pumpkin, what we ended up doing is the first one I was drilling it out, which works fine, but I didn't have a drill size that was exactly what I wanted. It was a bit big. So what we ended up doing is just tracing the circle on the bottom, and then Lori cut them out with a hot knife. So that worked really well, and we got all the pumpkins. Here you can see that it's cut out, and then just like that, and then that slides in there. And then what we ended up doing is just using hot glue on these. It seems to work pretty well. If it becomes a problem in the future, we'll think about what solutions we can come up with. But hot glued that on there, and then the little disc part I hot glued in, and then this lens cap actually just fits in. It's just a tight fit. It just snapped right on. So these worked really great, and I was able to go up on the facades there and just screw it in, and worked out perfect. So I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We had a very busy weekend. I'm really happy with the progress that we made getting the town set up.
Still a lot more to do, getting all the details in place and set up outside on the town, and then as well as working on our new stuff like our Pepper's Ghost and our other projection effects that we're going to do. And I'm really hoping that we can get the photo booth done this year, so we'll see. But thanks so much for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed or you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and we've got more coming as we get closer to Halloween. Thanks for watching.